Hello and welcome to this day 18 recap of the. Well, I'm not sure if we're going to call it the Karen Reed case anymore. Let's just call it Someone Died and the Alberts Absolutely Didn't Do It trial. Because we are 18 days in now. We. I don't. Why, Lally? Why? Yesterday was an absolutely S show. We started out with Brian Higgins. Yannetti took over from Alan Jackson. Alan Jackson was in California doing another case. He hit him, I think, in a very good way. He cut him off, said, "You don't have to explain everything, just yes and no answers." Boom, 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 boom. You destroyed your phone. No, I didn't. Well, you destroyed your SIM card and threw your phone away. Yeah, but I didn't destroy it. It's the same thing, brother. And again, who throws away their old phones? I have 3 old phones in that furniture behind me because we always keep them because there might be some pictures on it I'm gonna need. We'll never look at it, but we'll keep it, and then in 5 years we'll throw them out when we find it. And again, it was an iPhone. There's a back guarantee on iPhones if you trade it in for a newer model. Come on now. We're not all as stupid as they want us to believe. Then another, let's just call them Lallyisms from now on. Another stupid thing done. They called John O'Keefe's adopted children. We weren't allowed to see or hear what they talked about. We had 2 reporters. We saw what Turtle Boy said on his video, and I read another reporter's take on it. Apparently, Lally did his normal stick, talked about nothing for a long time. Janetti went up there and said, "Did you ever see Karen raise her hands to John? Did you ever see John raise his hands to Karen? And I'm sorry you have to be here." That's the extent of what he said to the son. The girl was a little more interesting because she now claims that Karen told her on the morning that I hit him. I could have hit him. Did he get hit by a plow? Multiple statements, which she had never ever said before. And she was then asked if she had had any contact with Jen McCabe, and she said yes, multiple times over the last either 2 or 4 weeks. She never ever stated anything about that before, and then all of a sudden she says it in the courtroom. Just like Brian Higgins claimed he never told the feds that he destroyed his phone. That was in a federal grand jury. He testified to that. It was smart because they can't bring in the exact text from that federal grand jury. But again, why is everyone changing all of their statements? You could have minor details or even major details you can't remember, but you can clearly remember that your statements weren't what was written down. To me, that comes off as highly unlikely. Again, I've only done this in Denmark for 13 years. I've seen 1 or 2 who claimed, well, I never said that to the police. And normally it's indicative of either they said too much and want to retract it, or they know they effed up. The problem is, when I see it in court, they said it in an interrogation. And if you're a pretty smart criminal in Denmark, you never sign your interview after because then you can always change it later. This was said under oath. And I'm thinking, will the FBI come knocking and say, hey, so you lied to us when you testified to this under oath? But probably not. After the kids, we went back to, again, proving the Alberts didn't do it. It wasn't about John O'Keefe. We had the ME who, not the ME, but we had the doctor who saw him when he came into the hospital. It was so boring and so long. I'm wondering if the jury could keep awake. Again, I can stop in the middle of it. I can talk to Mo, make jokes with Jamie. Marissa was on yesterday, making it a little bit more fun. But the jury is sitting there listening to a guy trying to use big words to somehow rationalize why he paid $250,000 to become a doctor. It was so long. It was so boring. It was really, really not a good showing again. Why can't they just tell a story? Then we have the pathologist talking about how they made a blood draw on Karen when she was part of the um, Section 12, and how they did the blood draw, that they absolutely didn't use alcohol wipes, because that's the blood draw. The next witness came in and testified that she had a calculated intoxication level at somewhere between, oh, and I have to figure out the American weight because we do it differently in Denmark. That she had a 0.12 or a 0.20, I think is the way Americans do it. Or is it a point at 1.2 and 2.0? I can't remember how you do it now. That's a big gap. And on cross-examination, he admitted, yeah, it's I don't know how they took the test. I don't know. There could be multiple factors making it wildly inaccurate. And this was with a timeline starting at 12:45, because that's the original time they claimed she hit him. But we know from the garage door data, she was at home at 12:41. So again, it's just more where Lally puts up stuff, the Lallyism. He puts in witnesses, they testify, takes them hours to get through the most simple testimonies. And then the defense stands up for 5 minutes, 10 questions, and they just hammers all his evidence from it. It's they raise reasonable doubt about everything. Do the jury see it? I don't know. I'm not in the mind of the jury. I hope they do. Next witness was the guy who had the patrol sheet for the snow removal equipment that night in Canton. And again, he came off really good for the defense, because if you've been following this case, you know there's a guy called Lucky Lothran. He's a snowplow driver who says he plowed Fairview at 2:30 and didn't see a body. And then he claimed, I believe it was 2:30, and then he claims later when he drove by on a cross street, he looked up and he saw a Ford Edge parked near the place they claim they found John O'Keefe was found. That's a really bad witness to bring in. And now we have the testimony from the shift supervisor from the city of Canton that Proctor got the sheet, so he had Brian Lucky Loughlin's name. He never ever asked who that driver was. And we had that shift manager say, yes, Lucky Loughlin was cleaning that street that night. State has multiple times said no one plowed that street that night. They have had the evidence all along. Again, Lally, why? You should know now that your main witness in this case will be Michael Proctor, to tell you about how this investigation ended up being so shoddy. This is beyond belief bad. And again, every witness Lally brings up, because it's a Lallyism, ends up being a great defense witness. The last witness we had was the guy who takes care of the IT and the cameras in Canton. And we, from, I believe, the second or the third hearing, we had a discussion about 4 minutes of missing video on the defense copy of the readout from the library cam. Now he was brought in to testify about the GPS system was down somewhere around the day in question. And then we were shown two pictures, one from 12 o'clock, where we saw a SUV, had nothing to do with Karen. What's really interesting in that video is there's no snow in that picture. Remember, this is the worst snowstorm ever. And Brian Higgins was plowing outside Fairview, but in front of the library, there was absolutely no snow. Then we were shown another picture from 5 o'clock in the morning, still no Karen Reed. We weren't shown a video, we were just shown two still photos. And on the last picture, the amount of snow, you should go back and find it from yesterday. At maximum, you had like 3 inches of snow. That's another Lallyism. You have been harping on for days now about the crazy amount of snow that happened that night. And then you bring video evidence of absolutely nothing. That there was roughly that much snow at maximum. What are you doing, Lally? Oh, and by the way, he showed the guy the disc with the pictures from outside the library. And he said, "Have you seen this before?" And he said, "Yes, I've seen the video." Is this the video we showed you? And he looks at the disc and said, "Nope, that's not mine. Never seen that before." So you can't bring that evidence in because you have no chain of custody for that DVD. You don't know who made that DVD. The defense played along because, again, it ended up being one of those Lallyisms where it's really good for the defense. So they got the guy to say on the stand he had no knowledge about missing evidence and he never saw the video, didn't look for any specific videos, and that he had taped the entire 6 hours he was asked to tape. But they apparently, when they transferred it for the defense, it never came over there. So again, a day full of Lallyisms, putting people on the stand who's helping the defense. People are asking me all the time, do you think Lally is throwing this on purpose? And I think he's really just that bad. He is really, really just the worst prosecutor in the world. If he didn't have a judge who is helping him, this case should never, ever have gone this far. She should have thrown it out. We are 18 days in, roughly 50 witnesses, and we don't even know how the state believes she hit him with a car. And now the rumor is Michael Proctor won't take the stand. It was debunked later saying, of course he will. Well, if Lally won't bring him, the defense most certainly will. And then to the lovely Caffey Daffy, former FBI agent, saying he has no first-hand knowledge of anything. He was the guy who kept Johns close before he locked it into evidence. He's the guy who was the lead investigator and everything. He's the guy who did 6 searches and found taillight pieces without documenting it. Sweet Caffey Daffy, I'm an idiot baker and I know more about trials than you do. And you're a former FBI agent who go on court TV. It must be easy being a talking head on TV. See you next week whenever Bev is done having her days off. Ciao.